It's National Walking the Dog Day. Fitzy, do you have a dog?
I do not have a dog.
So you didn't walk the dog. I don't think that's a euphemism either. It's like literally a dog. Uh, Positive Tuesday Countdown is being brought to you in part by Industrial Safety. Industrial Safety has incorporated kitchen suppression system maintenance, inspection, and installs into their everyday service menu. The team has found there is a great need in Northwest Wisconsin for kitchen suppression services, as any restaurant or business that has a kitchen suppression system is required to have that system inspected every 6 months. For more information, visit them at industrialsafetystore.com. And if you are looking to buy a home but don't know where to start or who to trust, look no further than our friends from the Wisconsin Lakes team. Anyone can say they are an agent, but not everyone treats their clients as they would want to be treated. Aaron and Katie make the transaction easy by keeping the human touch as part of the deal and helping guide you home. So contact the Lakes team today by visiting lakesteamwi.com. Oh, it's also National Be Humble Day.
Well, that's us. We're humble.
Yep. We're the most humble people that you'll ever know.
We should probably change the name of our show.
It says, on Be Humble Day, people across the world come together and stress the importance of being humble. Many great personalities say that humility is the most difficult of all virtues to attain. Good thing we don't have a problem with that. Either way, Be Humble Day focuses on the importance of being humble. So there you go. Let's try to be humble. How do you try to be humble? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you either are or you're not.
Yeah, kind of. Also National Margarita Day, for whatever that's worth. Well, I saw Chris Cruzy, speaking of, because that's what's playing in the background. I think he has a new single out, so we need to find that.
We gotta find that.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Alrighty, good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, February 22nd, 2022.
2222.
All right. All right. Is there a thing? It should be. Why isn't that a national day? Whatever. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. By the way, we're going to have a giveaway, something he's giving away here coming up soon. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business has provided quality work in roofing, garages, siding, window installations, kitchen and bathroom remodeling, vinyl and hardwood flooring, and they can even build your house or business from the ground up, sir. Like Fitzy and I, Professional Exteriors and Interiors believes that it's the little things that make a big difference. So give them a call today, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. It's just started snowing down here, so we're doing good down here.
Well, what's positive going on in your life? How was your weekend?
Good. We didn't do much again this weekend.
Wait, hold on. Did you put good morning?
Yeah, I did.
I just looked up at that. Oh, good morning.
I was trying to respond. I was trying to get more interactive.
Oh, look at you. I'm sorry. So what were you saying? Your weekend? What's positive in your life? I'm sure a lot of hockey stuff. But how was your weekend?
Tonight's the big game.
Oh, what is tonight's game?
Hayward Rice Lake in Rice Lake. As long as it doesn't get canceled, and right now it's not, so we're still on. And 2 games away from state. So
what? Okay, now you got my attention.
Yeah.
Like before, I'm like, I don't care. You're just being a parent and
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
So if they at this point, if they lose, they're out. It's finished.
Yep.
So they have a game tonight against Hayward,
and then Friday.
So if they win, or I'm sorry, when they win, they gotta speak like politicians. When I win, whatever. Then they'll have a game on Friday, and I'm assuming they'll play a winner of whomever else is playing.
Right.
And then when they win that,
that's right.
Then when is state?
Next week, Thursday and Saturday.
Thursday and Saturday
Well, you got to win. There's 2 games, so you got to win Thursday. If you win Thursday, you go to the state championship on Saturday.
Sure. Oh boy, what is Mike saying? I heard out of Hayward that the game is. Breaking news.
I haven't heard that yet.
Well, see, Mike is on top of it.
Mike, you got to get a better source. No, I don't know. It's entirely possible. It was way the roads are way worse to the north. Obviously, you've got more snow and
A little bit
school
more. It
north.
wasn't horrible. I mean, but yeah, it is what it is. I went
Yeah.
away this weekend for a quick little getaway. Drusha and I, as I mentioned last week on Valentine's, I didn't do anything, and then Drusha got me something, and I felt horribly. So we went away. That was nice. Nice little.
Yeah.
It was a 24-hour thing. We go to Eau Claire and to our same hotel with a hot tub in it for a good, clean, wholesome night of just debauchery. So it was wonderful. Yeah, it was great, and of course,
Your car when she shopped, right?
yeah, it was. I did actually. Yeah, yeah. Put a whole bunch of like windshield wipers on and clean the car. She goes in shopping, and I just sit and do vehicle maintenance. I
There
don't
you
like
go.
I don't like being around people who are shopping. So, all right, school closings. Obviously, like literally almost every school is closed. Actually, in our 6 county radius, everyone is. I think Grantsburg was the last one this morning that went from a 2-hour delay to a full close. So everybody is closed today. How are the roads down there? You said it wasn't that bad, but in terms of accidents, crashes, anything
We have
going on in Barron?
We have no crashes right now. It is, we just
Oh,
started snowing about 6 a.m. And there's another news outlet.
don't laugh at Mike's. No, I'm not even putting this stuff up anymore.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, Jody, I'll be more than happy to give you all the details. Just send me a message. Yep, it was a wonderful weekend at the hotel. I'll tell you all about it. Cornell's. Yeah, that's not in our coverage areas, Larry. Cornell. Is it? Where's Cornell? Chippewa?
Cornell is down by Chippewa.
Yeah, Chippewa. Yeah, Chippewa. So that's surprising to me that you didn't have any. When we came back yesterday morning, I thought we were going to run into tons of stuff. And we were going to stop in to see you actually on the way. But we left early, so I think you were in meetings until like 10 or 11 or something. And we were coming through like at 7:38. And I was really surprised that the roads were really fine. It wasn't until almost we hit Shell Lake, the exit B for Shell Lake, that we started seeing snow. So, yeah, it really hasn't been that horrible, and I haven't heard of a lot of crashes. Usually we get tons of notifications from the Wisconsin DOT and all these crashes. So either it wasn't that bad for a lot of people in our area, or people are just, at this point, I know how to be safe when I drive.
Right.
Right?
Well, and as of we'll get into Friday because of the snow squalls, and I didn't know what one of those was, but I lived it
a
on
snow
Friday
what?
after. Snow squall or whatever they call these wind things where it blows the snow, and we had all these road closures and accidents on Friday afternoon. It was really bad Friday afternoon. All of a sudden, in about a 2 mile stretch, we had we had one of our squad cars get crashed into on Friday at a traffic scene, and we had a major crash on Highway P over by Elmina. It was just a lot of cars. No injuries or very minor injuries.
Sure.
On 53, we had multiple semis and trailers in the ditch. We had about 20 cars in the ditch in about a 2-hour stretch of time. Friday afternoon it got really hairy for us out on Highway 53. Heavy wind. I mean, you couldn't even stand on the road because it was slippery, and the wind. It was way different Friday afternoon. All of a sudden it just hit, and we called our night shift in early. I went out. Yeah, see, Dirk knows he's my weather guy.
I was going to say, he's your weather guy, right? Yeah.
He's my weather guy, yeah. He's the guy.
Why am I not remembering any of this? Where was I Friday
afternoon? I don't know.
It
wasn't that far north, so we just had it in about a 4 or 5 mile stretch of Highway 53 and a 1 mile stretch of Highway P. Otherwise, we had 0 cars in the ditch anywhere else in the county. It was really an odd situation, I thought. But we had, like I said, about a 10-car crash in that area of Highway P and Elmina. Now, they weren't all tending to each other. They had multiple accidents, but again, somebody smashed in the back of our squad car. So we're trying to get that fixed, and that's hard to do right now. Find squad cars and get cars fixed is really tough for our people. So
yeah, it is. And prices of things. So I'm assuming that's what a part of. I shouldn't assume that. Why is that?
It's just availability of parts. It has nothing to do with the cost.
Okay.
It has to do with getting the parts, the bumpers, parts from China. It's getting better, but it's just not back to normal yet.
Sure.
So
I saw when we were in Eau Claire, I went looking because I'm always looking for a different vehicle. And I saw this Jeep and it was awesome. Like this Ford Jeep. I'm like, oh, it's great. It's a 2016. It was beautiful. It was like 32 grand. I'm like, okay, that's not the worst ever, I guess. That's a little out of my price range. And we stopped and looked at 116,000 miles. I'm like, holy cow. It looks like we won't be buying a vehicle for a few years. Yeah, so I want to get to a press release. It wasn't from Barron County, but we did a story yesterday, and it was regarding a kid. The headline was Court Sentences Man of Convictions, Including Child Enticement. I want to get to that, and I want to ask your opinion about, or get your views and some understanding about law enforcement's relationship with the DA's office. When things go well, when things don't, etc. But first, this is kind of more on a personal. I'm not really sure how to bring this topic up, other than to say I was going to come on this morning for a day and a half. So until yesterday, I was going to come on this show today, and I was going to go scorched earth on someone. Which in 6.5 years of doing this, I've never done that. Largely because I'm a virtual and an emotional pacifist. I don't like any none of that. Plus, it's not really what I do. So I need your counsel, because if there's a short list of people that know me really, really well, you would be on it. We've known each other personally and professionally for years. And plus, you're a sheriff, and this is, so I want your insight and your perspective, because it is about a sheriff, and it's about our sheriff here in Washburn County, Dennis Stewart. I've decided not to go scorched earth because I don't think that's the right thing to do, but I'm not really sure what to do. So here is the situation. On Sunday morning, I slept in a little bit, didn't get up to, I don't know, 6 something. So around 6:30, I see that there was a post on the Washburn County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, and there were 2 missing kids that they were looking for. And I saw that it was posted the night before, around 6, about 12 hours later is when I saw it. So I opened up my email to see what the press release. We didn't get a press release. And that really started to get me upset. And I don't know, at first I'm like, why am I getting really upset about this? But I was starting to. I think maybe because we've talked a lot about, kids. There's something about kids, that stuff, man, ugh. Anyway, so I was really literally getting upset. Drusha got up and she said, you seem a little angsty this morning. I'm like, I don't know why this is just really bothering me, that this was not sent out to everyone. Why not put that out in the largest dissemination possible? It should be not just to Dreadnought. It should be sent to everybody. Now, in full disclosure, and I want to be very clear about this, I have no issues with Dennis Stewart at all professionally. That's fine. He can do what he wants. He's a sheriff. Do whatever. I don't know how you do your job, so that's fine. Yeah, pretty much. That's my understanding. Between you and Dad, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But personally, there may be some things there. But that stuff I don't care about, right? I did endorse the Mike Schaefer. See, now I got Mike Schaefer in my mind. Mike Richter, who ran against Dennis after Dave retired 3 years ago. I thought he would have been a better sheriff. I still think he would have been a better sheriff, to be perfectly honest. And I will be personally supporting and endorsing Warren Tuttle, who's running against Dennis. But that was all like the personal stuff. So the things that have always come up, I always think maybe subconsciously, because of how I personally feel, that's interfering with my views professionally from a media outlet to a sheriff's office. So maybe this was just that proverbial straw. I don't know. But I didn't understand why that wasn't sent out to all media, not just Dreadnought, but to all media. If they were my kids, I would be livid. How in the world is that sent out? And it's not, because a lot of people aren't on Facebook, not including Dreadnought's Facebook page. But when we put something out on our website, that gets picked up by a lot of other outlets. It goes on like the Newsbreak app, and a lot of people have that. It's like the #1 downloaded news app thing, and it's like a curating app, a news curation. And then, of course, when we put it on Facebook, because there's a lot of people may not follow the Sheriff's Office Facebook page that maybe follow our Facebook page, we then, of course, share it. I'm an editor for the Facebook page, Wisconsin Public Safety Incidents and Alerts, which is largely southern Wisconsin. So the point is, why in the world is that sent out? I don't know why that bothered me so much for a day and a half, and again, till yesterday afternoon, and I actually prayed about it, because my faith, and I should have done that immediately, and I didn't, so that was my fault. So I kind of calmed down. I'm like, no, that's just not what to do. But I wanted to bring it up, so I got to ask you. I don't know if you saw anything about that, but I need some counsel as to what to do, and I want to do that publicly because I want to be better.
Yes, I get your point, and I think, obviously with the Jamie Cost case, it's a different level. But you never know when you're going to have a case like that. It can be tomorrow. It can be never in your career. It might be 3 times in your career. You hope it never happens again. So I think everybody goes back to that and how we handled that. And also, we've become dependent on Facebook, and we can't just become dependent on Facebook.
Right.
I put something on Facebook, and everybody's going to read it. Well, not everybody follows the sheriff's department, but some people follow the Chronotype or Dryden Wire or
Sure.
Corner Advocate or whatever it is, whatever your favorite outlet is, and people have their favorite outlet,
Yep.
and so be it. And so I think that's your frustration, in is that if you're gonna put something on Facebook, then it's newsworthy. And why isn't it getting to the news so that they can do their job and put that information out? And we had a missing gentleman, about a week and a half ago. We put a press release out. He was found an hour and a half later. We
Yep.
put another press release out saying, "Don't print it." Most of no one printed it, and it happened in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I woke up because I get up. That was on a normal day. Get up a little after 4, and I saw that press release that you had sent it like at 12, like it was around midnight.
Right.
And of course, I'm sleeping. So
Right.
but then I saw like an hour later, you had said cancel. We already found the person, but you had sent that out.
Right. Because if I'm going to put something on Facebook, I believe, and this is my personal opinion, and everybody has a different opinion on how they handle the media. Every sheriff and every police chief in the country has their own way to do it. Some people don't like it. Some people do. That's just how you do it.
Yeah. And real quick, I got to interrupt real quick. There's people who have been asking. Yeah, they were found.
Yes.
I had heard that it was in the Dells, but that was not sent out in anything. I think even the sheriff's office page, it was when I found out that they were found, someone told me that was in law enforcement, they were found in the Dells, but that person was just giving me information. It wasn't an official thing. And I think it was a while later that the sheriff's office page updated and said they were found. I don't recall if they said it was the Dells or not. They very well could have. But I know that they were found. I believe it was Sunday late afternoon. Yeah, late afternoon. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure because we're getting a lot of questions. I just want to make sure I address that real quick. Sorry.
Good point. So I mean, you just got to decide. You can't, and some people, and I think you've been told this by the Washington County Sheriff's Department, is that they're just going to use Facebook. And I don't know that that's how they want to do their job. That's fine. You can't use one media outlet or one media presence when you're putting something out, especially about kids. I mean, there's a lot of people that will take time out of their day to drive around and look for something if we give them a job to do. And it doesn't even have to be kids. Ours wasn't a juvenile. Ours was an adult with some, developmentally disabled, a disability of some sort. It wasn't developmentally, sorry. It was a disability of some sort. And we put that missing person out that he was endangered. We felt he was endangered. Well, he wasn't. He was somewhat, kind of, but he was able to function and get home and everything's okay.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what, if we're going to put something on Facebook, it's got to get out to other sources. I sent it out to, I think I have 42 media sources.
I think it's, it was sent to me, 39 at least, because I always see that. So when you send it out, and Dad did the same thing when he was a sheriff, and Tracy Finch. So when I get the press release, then I see all the stuff. Like, look at Brent Walk in Polk County. Like he basically shut down their Facebook page. He's tired of the idiots commenting and things, but he still sends out press releases. I mean, there's been fatalities in Washburn County that there's no Facebook post at all. There's no media outlet, nothing at all. And those are the things that in the past that have really bothered me. But I just thought it was okay. Maybe I'm just personal about that because of for whatever reason. And again, I'm not criticizing. I needed to find out what, and that's kind of what I did. I said, well, hold on, maybe there is something. Because it wasn't signed by, usually when people send out a press release or put something on Facebook, they're usually a sheriff or someone will sign to it or who had written it. There wasn't. So I sent an email to the sheriff yesterday with a couple of questions before I, really just said this is just dumb and I think it's blah, blah, blah. I wanted to get some answers. So I sent that yesterday.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's today. Of course, I haven't heard anything. I haven't gotten a reply yet. And who knows if I will. So if I do, hey, I'll give you an update next week. But
so, I mean, and on Friday afternoon during that snowstorm, I did call the radio station because that's my fastest way to get information on the air to people saying don't travel, stay home if you can. So I did call the radio station and we put a thing on Facebook. I didn't send a press release out because I just didn't have time to do that. And I updated our Facebook page every 30 minutes saying, we're doing this now, we're doing this now, all the roads are back open, whatever it is. So sometimes, but I'm at an advantage because of the cost case. Our Facebook page has 48,000 followers.
Yeah, you
So
doubled it, I think, around that time.
yeah,
You
I mean,
did.
so I'm at an advantage over some other law enforcement agencies where when I put something out there, it usually can get shared and shared and shared.
Yeah.
And I
But once
can,
again, you're still getting shared to people on Facebook. People are leaving Facebook now in just
correct.
record numbers. And again, I'm not saying don't put it on Facebook. I
Right.
just don't understand, and I need some clarification. So, is that the route? Because that's what I did. I sent an email, just
Mhm.
asking.
Yep.
Was he the? I asked if if he was the one that actually issued this. Did somebody else? Was he aware? I just want some basic information. So help me understand what the situation was, because maybe he'll say something and I'm going, oh, well, you know what? That makes sense. I
Yep.
can't imagine what that is, but I got to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? I mean, I just have
Right.
to.
You have to. Not everybody's happy with the decisions I make. And then I expect people to call me up and ask me. And that's fine. That's why I'm an elected official. That's why I answer to the people. I don't have a boss. I mean, that's how it works. And I expect people to, no one's perfect at their job.
No.
I expect people to make me better but respect what I have to say because we're doing it for a reason. And we got a lot of that through the Kloss case. I mean, they didn't like, we should have been doing this or we should have been doing this. I'm like, hey, you don't know the whole story.
Right,
There's a bigger
exactly.
story.
Yeah.
And
And in
maybe
this
there is in
case,
this case.
yeah, in this case, they were, I believe, listed as runaway. So that was my first thought when I was starting to call them out. Well, maybe it was just like, yeah, but just because they were kind of put down as a runaway, and who knows? I don't know. Maybe this is a common theme with one or two of these boys. I don't know. I have no idea. But I don't even care about that because maybe this time wasn't one of those, or I don't know. The whole thing just got to me, and I didn't know. So I
Once you
sent
go
an
to
email, and I don't know at this point. Do I just leave it alone? Right? I just until I get a response. Just okay.
but once you put something into the social media network and it gets shared, and then it might get shared by, you know, maybe Dryden Wire picks it up, and that now, you know, you're the ninth highest rated news outlet in Wisconsin, and now you pick up the story on Facebook, and now it becomes a bigger issue. You have to prepare the back end of that, whether it's your dispatch center or it's your investigators, or because if NBC News picks it up and we have two missing kids in Washburn County or two missing kids in Barron County, you have to be prepared for that. If it's Sunday morning or Tuesday afternoon, you have to be prepared for
Yeah.
what can happen if the wrong or the right person picks up and shares this. Maybe National Exploding Missing Children picks it up, and now you're on billboards and all their sites, and you're like, "Ooh, that's not what I wanted." Well, if you're going to put it out there in the media, you or on the internet, you
Yeah.
got to be prepared for what happens on the back end. So before we put a post out there, we always try to think about what's going to happen on the back end. Sometimes we don't have time to think about it, but your dispatchers have to be prepared, your tip line, whatever you're doing, you
Oh,
might get calls that you got to start to follow up on.
good. Patty has a question. I'll put that up here. But speaking of tip line, there was a question Amanda wanted. If someone has a tip or concern, is there a specific number to call? I'm assuming that's for you in the sheriff's office, or just call the non-emergency line.
Right. Well, there's yes, you can call a non-emergency line 537-3106.
Oh, slow
For
down.
the
Say that again.
537
Huh.
3106 is our non-emergency line. We have a tip line. We have a meth tip line, 537 meth, METH.
Nice.
It's not too
Sweet.
hard.
No.
Yeah, so you can call in a meth tip line. You know, someone, you know, Chris Fitzgerald's kids are on meth or whatever the tip is. You know,
Mm.
now it doesn't mean we react to that tip and we come busting through Ben Dryden's door because someone called in a tip that you're smoking meth in your house.
No, it'd probably be because Drush is, I'm pretty sure, growing pot downstairs because of that grow light. I'm kidding.
Oh wait, it's lettuce.
Right. Okay.
Um, and so, you know, so just because somebody calls in a tip, we also have a tip line on our Facebook. It's, you know, we have tip 411. We have a lot of different ways you can call. I look on our Facebook page, find the different ways to send tips in.
Okay.
You can always call our non-emergency line,
Sure.
and we, we ask you for your information, but hopefully, you know, you don't have to give it, but hopefully you do. And we try to keep people's information.
Yeah.
We don't say, hey, your neighbor called and you said you're growing pot in your house. You know, we
No.
don't knock on your neighbor's door and say that, but we would
Right.
say, hey, you know, we got a complaint.
Yeah.
They might figure it out, and you know, they're through open records and lots of different things, but it usually works out for the most part. And
Sure.
if they're growing pot, they're more scared of us than they are who called them in. So.
Right. Yeah. So Patty had, and by the way, she was on our show last week. I thought I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
Drew and I watched it afterwards because we always watch it Tuesday night. She even said she just did phenomenally well. I thought she was absolutely excellent last week. You can watch that show on our YouTube channel or our website. And Patty says, do you think family dynamics had something to do with it? Very well could have been, Patty. Again, we have very little information, so that'd be a great question for the sheriff of Washington County, I suppose. But I really don't have much information.
Yeah, I think we're going to quit having guests because they're all sometimes better than me. I'm a little worried about them taking over my job.
No, I'm not kidding. She just absolutely did. And I'm not just saying to say it. I'm not kidding.
I learned a lot.
I know. It was absolutely fantastic. So, and plus, she takes some ribbing pretty good, right? So you throw in some Democrat things. That's always fun. But no, she was just great. So there was a press release or an article, by the way. So I think at this point, I'm just going to, hopefully he responds, right? And if he doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Maybe at that point, now it's a different situation. Now you're not replying to questions from media. Now maybe that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But I think for right now, I'll just kind of wait. What's that?
Next week we'll have another topic.
Yeah, no, I have another topic. Yeah, so we're already spending way too much time on this. There was this wasn't your, I don't believe it was a sheriff's office case in Bexar County, but I put up a post yesterday, and the headline was "Court Sentences Ban on Convictions, Including Child Enticement." That was one of those, again, anything to do with kids, man, that stuff burns me up. And I read that, the criminal complaint, and I got emotional because that stuff, even now just thinking about it, that is just disgusting. And we don't put those details in, but that's public record. People could, just request it. Right. That stuff just drives me crazy to see those things. But the Stephen Noonamaker, who ultimately was ordered to serve 9 years and 6 months of initial confinement in state prison, 10 years extended supervision to follow. He had done a plea. So it is what it is. I wasn't horribly, I didn't look at that and go, well, that's terrible, because that's pretty decent, actually. But when you see those things, I know we talk about it a lot, but I just want your thoughts once again. I'm sure you saw that story. What were your thoughts?
I'm happy. Obviously, some people are going to think that, he should have went to prison for the rest of his life. That's just not how the system works. It's just, I know that's what a lot of people think, especially when it involves a kid. But you have to take emotion out of your sentencing. I mean, our judges do a good job of that. Our DAs do a good job of that. And our PDs do a good job. And you never know when that case, and it was a Turtle Lake PD case, so hats off to Turtle Lake.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but you never know. You get that call, oh, someone wants to report a sexual assault. And you're like, well, most of them don't turn out like this. They're either minor, and there's no such thing as a minor sexual assault. That's not what I'm saying. We'll probably get quoted now and CNN.
Thanks a lot.
I'm not saying that, but I mean, you don't think it's going to turn into this major case. No different than the missing kid we were just talking about. You never know if that's, is it just a runaway and they're going to come back in an hour and a half, or is it they're gone and they've been gone for 2 weeks now? So you never know when this is going to happen. So, you get calls, not every day like this, but you get calls of a possible sexual assault or a domestic, and you don't know, again, what the level of the call you're going to, whether it's a fight or is it verbal. And you get there and it's like, well, this is serious. Our human services needs to be involved. You get all the players involved, and then you get a 10-year sentence. So I think that's great. These are tough cases from a law enforcement standpoint.
Yeah.
Trying to get details from a kid. Now, again, we have great social workers and a good process in place, I think, in Barron County for this to work. And so that the victim only has to go through it one time, whether it's a domestic and we use Embrace or St. Clair Valley Sexual Assault, and we use St. Clair Valley Sexual Assault for cases like this, or our own social workers. So we have plans and protocols in place for these cases so that cops don't have to do this interview. Now, we have to interview sometimes the perpetrator, which would have been Mr. Noonamaker. We have to do that part, but the kids part is done professionally with the right people that know what they're doing.
Sure.
So I'm very proud of the process that we have in Barron County. I think it works very well to protect our victims, no matter.
Well, and hats off to the Turtle Lake Police Department, because again, this wasn't even a Barron County. You have a lot of resources as the Barron County sheriffs, and just in terms of deputies, and you have investigators. The Shell Lakes. Oh shoot, there we go. The
Dave Wilson.
the Dave Wilson, the Shell Lake, or the Turtle Lakes when they don't have a large team, etc. But hats off to the Turtle Lake Police Department, the officer that was actually did most of this, and of course, I even sent a text to the chief just saying, "Great job on this," which actually leads me to something else: the role of law enforcement and how it relates to district attorney's office. And it's funny, somebody kind of brought this up already, so I'll use that as a jumping point. When is Barron County going to stop slapping the drug dealers in the hand and letting them on a signature bonds time after time? Right. So that's a different thing. I don't think, Fitzy, unless you want to comment on that, you certainly can. But signature bonds, that is not up to law enforcement.
Right. And it's really not even up to the district attorney's office.
Ultimately, it is not. That is right.
Yeah, it's up to the judge. And so we're doing some better education on that because I'm learning, because I think public safety is number one. I think we need our legislatures to change some of that. I just met with Judge Babler, our chief judge here in Barron County, on that issue. We're going to meet with our police chiefs later in March and our district attorney on that to try to come up with a different plan for that. Because I agree 100%. Not that they're getting slaps on the hand, but it's a continual kind of a revolving door. I get what he's saying. And it frustrates law enforcement. It frustrates the general public. But bond is to return to court. So if you get arrested and you haven't been, again, you look at something like the Kloss case, and he got a $5 million cash bond, and he had never had police contact before that. But it's the seriousness of the crime. What you can be ultimately convicted for was life, so he is a threat to not return to court.
Right.
Well, possession of meth, the max sentence is whatever, and I don't know what the max sentence is, but it's not the rest of your life in jail. So the threat of you fleeing the country is very rare for a 6 to 10 month sentence.
Yeah.
So that's what bond is for, and it's kind of confusing. But back to the role of the district attorney's office, it's a very important role with law enforcement, and it can be very rocky, and it can be very, very positive, and it can go up and down, just like law enforcement and the media can go up and down. I mean, you get burned by the wrong media outlet, and you get frustrated from a law enforcement perspective. And so, but you have to be professional and keep the door open. And we've had some tense moments in the district attorney's office here in my 14 years, and some really great moments. And with both DA Wright and DA Bronick at the time, I mean, it's an ebb and flow. I'm sure they don't like everything law enforcement does, and we don't like everything they do. And but you've got to just work together and have some professional courtesy. And we did have that here in Barron County.
Sure.
We do have that.
How does that work then? So to kind of let people know, myself included, that relationship between a district attorney, or I should just say the DA's office. It's not just the DA, but the DA's office, whether it's the staff that works there. Again, one of these days we really should have my wife on, because she works at the DA's office, and I still don't know what she does. She answers calls, sends emails, I think, but I don't really know what she does.
Sometimes I get an email from her.
Do you? What? See, I didn't even know that. See?
Yeah. Well, it goes to the jail for the most part, but I get all the emails that the jail gets.
See, why is she email? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So... But
she has some frustrating times too. No.
Yeah, usually at home though, not at the DA's office.
Right, exactly.
Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, so your relationship to the DA's office. So in law enforcement, you have to do your investigation. I'm sure there have been times, there has to be, because I've heard of these in other counties, or I hear of these stories where a DA or an ADA or maybe a team or something, they go and they sit down with, in this case, we'll say you, a sheriff, and say, dude, you got to get this tightened up. You're bringing these reports and it's not doing this, and we need this, and we need this, and you're not doing this, or you got to get your team to make sure that and I don't know what that means. I don't know what a DA's office needs, or whatever, but I'm sure you've had those conversations, or I should say a DA's office has had that conversation with you. Can you give us just a generality? What are those kinds of conversations? And is it at times you go, you know what, don't tell me how to do my job. I know how to do my job. Or is it, okay, I don't like you telling me to do my job, but if we can do something that makes a change that helps you start getting more convictions, I'm totally down with that. How does that work?
Well, it goes it's a conversation that you have, and you got to have the respect in the conversations. It just can't be, like I was up yesterday and talked to DA Wright, about a case, but we ended up talking about 4 or 5 other cases, just what's coming down the pipe, just in general. And you got to have those conversations ahead of time. You've got to build relationships, no different than building relationships with the media. You've got to, with your police chiefs, you've got to build them with. I'm all about relationship building. That's all I do as sheriff all day long, or I try to do. And sometimes it breaks down, sometimes it's not good. But a lot of times they'll send us a letter saying, you know what, I like this case, but you need to interview uh, victim one and witness number three,
Sure.
and redo the interviews with them and audio tape them and maybe ask them these questions, and if it goes, then try to get some more out of them. So we get letters like that all the time saying, would you please follow up if we can get a better explanation of why, what they witnessed, maybe we'll charge this, and if they didn't see that, then we're only going to charge this. So we get letters like that
All
from
right, hold
all
on
of
right
them.
there. I want to stop there so we don't go too far. When you receive those, typically, is it received well by you? And I know you're very transparent and open and honest, and it's okay if it's like, well, most times yes, but sometimes I look at this and go, what? You have enough. I mean, do you typically receive that well? If I ask DA right now, if I call him after the show and I say, given this scenario, how does Fitzy receive that? What would he say?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Most of the time, it's like, yeah, I get it. Sometimes it's like, oh, come on, that isn't gonna add 1 ounce of truth or mistruth to this case.
Yeah.
And so yes, I think sometimes our people get frustrated with that, but the DA's office is following the jury instructions. So every case that the DA's office takes, and Brian Wright taught me this, and DA Baronic did it at the same time. They have to do what the jury instructions say for whatever kind of case, possession of meth to murder to sexual assault. The jury instructions, you always have to think, would a jury of 12 people believe this case, and
Right.
I'll put it on the table right now.
And by the way, I just learned that too. I had some questions, and one time it wasn't about a specific case, but actually that was one of those I asked Jerusha. I said, so this is dumb and this, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just complaining about a story that I did. And she goes, well, you got to understand, though, the DA, they have to assume every case is going to trial and that they can win. That's called a prosecutable case. I'm like, well, that's dumb. I mean, there's plea deals. She goes, yes, but those plea deals happen because the defense attorney knows if we go to trial, we're probably going to lose this case. So you just have to assume that. Now, most cases don't go to trial,
Right.
but that's how it works, right?
Most cases don't go to trial, and that's what's somewhat frustrating from a law enforcement is we did all that other follow-up, and then they got a deal. And so I agree with some of the frustration that the public has. We vent that frustration to the DA's office, to DA Wright. There was a case that we didn't think was charged the way we wanted it to just last week. And my captain is following up with the DA on that. But there was some circumstances that we didn't know about that he found out about the suspect that's in Minnesota and on and on and on. But this person spit on the officer and wasn't charged with the felony that we felt was appropriate. They were charged with some misdemeanors, but ultimately we understand it, why he did what he did. He had to explain that to us, and it was better to do it in person rather than on a piece of paper. I didn't charge this because blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Because as you read that, you're frustrated. You're somewhat angry. So we're trying to protect our deputies out there, and we do a good job. And DA Wright is his main focus is justice, but he wants to keep the cops safe too. He works on that. He explained why he did what he did, and ultimately, I don't maybe still like it, but I understand it a lot more.
Sure.
And there's some ramifications if this person commits another crime down the road that there's some enhancers that go on this case now. So I'm like, well, that's kind of restorative justice in a roundabout way, and it's trying to make people better. Our job isn't to just lock people up. Our job is to try to make them better. So I get it. It may be a softer approach to some justice that some people want, but ultimately it's what happened, and we have to live with it. So it's no different than bonds. I mean, I think everybody's frustrated with drug dealers getting out when they are out on bonds. So it's a bigger process than even law enforcement has a say in. But for the most part, if you have good communication and good good rapport and good relationships, It's what it's about.
Yeah,
I
and,
don't like
and, and the reality is, you could do everything that you're supposed to do in law enforcement, and you could double and triple check, and the DAs could do everything they want to do, but ultimately, it still goes in front of a judge, and they're the ones that pretty much can decide what's happening. Whether
or
it's
a
a
jury.
bond, I mean, there was a case a little over a week ago in Washburn, I'm sorry, I had the story last week, but it happened a week or two before, that it was the ADA here in Washburn County had requested a $25,000 bond, and the defense said 500, which that's a good defense attorney right there. And the judge ordered 10,000. I felt it should have been a lot more,
Right.
but that's a judge's discretion right there, and maybe that's just how the game is played sometimes. I mean, unless you're John Yackel, like in Sawyer, like the state will ask for 25 and defense will ask for 500. He'll give like 50. He's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
And
So what happens when law enforcement, when you had to have made a mistake, or whether it was you specifically, probably not, because you probably don't do a lot of those specific investigations. But like you had said earlier, and actually, I think Dad had just commented up here. Communication starts at the top of the food chain, right? Sheriff and DA that stuff's important. So when you're at the top, you're held accountable. This is your team. There had to have been a time over 14 years, as you had said earlier, we all make mistakes, where because of something that law enforcement didn't do, your guys didn't do, and we're not trying to call out anyone, but it's going to happen. It had to have happened. That means that the DA can't do something, or it gets thrown out, or a technical, or whatever the case may be. How do you process that? Ideally, you'd want to learn from it, right? But man, some of those, that just got to drive you crazy. Like, man, because of us, right? We did everything right except that one thing, and they had a great defense attorney. They found this one thing, and now look what happened. How do you deal with that?
I don't think it's something you do wrong. It's something you just missed. So I don't know that I don't know, and I I'm sure it's happened. I don't know of a case that got thrown out on a technicality.
Oh, sure.
But sometimes I'm questioning a suspect, and I didn't read them their rights until, I already had 3 sentences in, and I said, well, hey, wait a second. You said something here. I want to read the rights to you. And a defense attorney will say, hey, you should have read them rights before they said that magic word. Whatever word triggered you to read them the rights, they should have said, you should have read them the rights. And a judge or a jury might say, yeah, you're right. They should have, or they shouldn't have. And so that's maybe a technicality that you're thinking about, and that happens. Yeah. And so I don't think it's anything that anybody intentionally does wrong or fails to do. It's just, I was having a conversation. They weren't handcuffed. And so I asked them a question. They said, yeah, I did that. And I'm like, whoa, now I got to ask you your questions. Read them your rights. As soon as you read them in the rights, they say, I don't want to talk to you. And then it becomes, is that admission admissible or not? And you have these motion hearings. That's what I call the motion hearing is called. And so then a judge decides, you saw that in the George Floyd case, a lot of motions here and there, and what video would be allowed in and what video wouldn't be allowed in, and was it edited video or not edited video, and things like that. So I think a lot of things have been cleaned up with the use of body cameras. I think you used to see a lot more motions, but now with body cameras and squad cameras, you got the whole thing sitting in front of you. So It's a lot easier now, and I think a lot less. And that's why you see a lot more deals too, because of the use of body cameras. I think it's been a great tool for law enforcement.
Yeah, they can't now say that, no, they said this and they did this, and it's, let's go back to the tape.
Exactly. Right. So I think you know exactly when you read them their rights. You know exactly when they admitted to something or didn't admit something, and if you were asking them a question at the time, because it's all on video for the most part. I mean, some of our plainclothes detectives don't have those things like that, but when they're interviewing somebody, they have at least an audio version of that. For the most part.
If I ask to wrap this up, if I ask the district attorney's office, the DA Wright and his predecessor, who was there before?
Angie Bronick. Yep.
Angie Bronick. So if I ask them in a private conversation, which I would then totally bring up on the show, private conversation. If I asked them, and I asked all three judges, Bitney, and if I asked all of them, how's Fitzy doing? He's been there for quite a while, right? It's not like you're brand new or anything. You've been there for, I think you just said 14 years. Overall, happy with the sheriff. What do you think they would say?
I think they would say we've built good relationships, and I think they like the job I'm doing. In fact, my salary was set for the next 4 years last night at county board, and I got a lot of kudos. And
Nice.
so, because as an elected official, you have to set salaries for 4 years, and that's how every elected official works. So I don't get a raise; it's set right
Oh,
now, and you
I'm gonna
don't.
open records request that.
Well, it's in the county board packet. It's not. You don't
Oh,
even have to open request it. It's there.
okay.
And I got kudos as being, a great person that not only cares about the sheriff's department, that cares about Barron County and tries to bring it all together. Our relationship with DHS is the best in the state. I think our relationship with the DNR is the best in the state. We have a lot of programs that we share with the DNR. In our RECTA program, that we're sharing equipment and not having the state buy a four-wheeler and us buy a four-wheeler. We have a four-wheeler, you have access to our garage, you can use that four-wheeler anytime you want it. So I think it's relationship building that is key to success of a county. Whether you're talking highway department, DHS, sheriff's department. So I think our relationship with the DA and the judges, I know there's sheriffs that don't even go upstairs. I go upstairs and talk to our judges all the time. Mostly Judge Babler, because he's the chief judge, and when he has to go through him for anything to happen.
Yeah.
So most of them, but I talked to Judge Bittney, I talked to Judge Boyle, I talked to DA Wright. We talk to each other in the hall. They have access to my hallway because we're in a secure hallway. I have access to their hallway. We don't say, you know what, you have to knock before you come in. It's not like that here. Everything's open door, just like you and I. I mean, I think that's what it's about, is building relationships. That's the role of an elected official,
Mm.
whether you're for Senate or you're for Congress or whatever. It's about building relationships and making decisions. Sometimes they don't like them all, but I think you've got to be transparent. And I think, I think I do a good job of that. I
Yeah.
think that's what it's about. And it starts with having relationships, because if I don't have a good relationship with the DA, and at times it's been contentious in the past, and then you get past that and you move on and you have a major case and you work together on it.
Yeah.
I think when you have major cases, you see the cooperation that went into the Kloss case or went into, the homicide cases. Any homicide case
Yeah.
you have is a major case that you have to have that. So that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's
And the
why we
reality
do
is, you've said these same things about the DA and about the judges. So this isn't. So I'd asked you what they would say about you, and you, because it's National Be Humble Day today, just got finished telling us how amazing you were. But you were saying what they would say about you.
Right.
But you've said those same things about them, the DA's office and the DA and the judges. That there's sometimes they don't necessarily agree with certain things, but we have a great relationship. We can talk to each other, be transparent, share our opinions and our views, but with the ultimate goal of trying to be better. And boy, I think you're absolutely right. I never thought about that before. It really is that relationship building. It's because if you don't have that, if you have a county that the judge's office and the sheriff's office and DA's office, none of them are really talking or communicating or having those or building those relationships, that's not an effective criminal justice system.
Right. And just one last comment about the DA's office that doesn't have an effect on law enforcement. If you look at the Amish buggy case from a couple weeks ago, and the family wanted no charges or very limited charges, and the DA's office had plenty of evidence to say this guy is not going to drive a car again, go to prison, whatever the answer is. But he has to work with the family also, the victims in these cases, and they forgave. And so so that's another role that the district attorney really has to roll, because those district attorneys elected too. So now he's got to make sure the public's safe, but also answers to the victims more than the public. So whatever that victim wants is way more important than what I want as the sheriff. I'm sorry, but the victim rules in that case.
Yeah. Real quick, so I forgot I wrote this down, and so the last thing I have here was you just brought up victim again. Victim versus survivor. And I'm asking this honestly. When does that verbiage change from victim to a survivor? And is it the same? So like this child, the story that we had yesterday, court sentences, manic convictions, including child enticement and that stuff. So she was the victim. But so when, and again, I'm asking this seriously. Maybe you don't know the answer, but I need to kind of find out of when do we start referring to that person, that individual, as a survivor, or is survivor really only for like adults and such? How does that work? Do you happen to know?
Oh, that's a good one. We'll have to ask our friends at Embrace or Synchro Sexual Assault. I would say they're one and the same. Just off the top of my head, I think we treat them the exact same way. I don't know if that's
I just don't want to say the wrong thing. Like, yeah,
yeah,
there's this victim here that, it's 3 years ago. It was, she or he were a victim of the, or no, they're a survivor. I just don't want to, because that stuff, man, we take that seriously. I just don't want to use the wrong word when I really should be using something else.
I'll have to ask the ladies that Embrace or
All
the
right,
ladies.
you find out and then let us know next week, and I'll let you know if there's any updates, if I can respond here from our sheriff. All right, man, that's all I have. Reminder, our shirts are available. Positive to the Ben and Fitzy Show shirts. Just go to our website. It's pretty much all over there. So
I have one thing.
Yeah, what's up?
On Saturday, and I know we don't do a lot of fundraisers, but on Saturday, February 23rd at Buck and Beams at 3 o'clock. So this Saturday at 3 o'clock, they're having a fundraiser for our former dispatcher, and he's a Washburn County dispatcher, Tucker. He's going through some cancer stuff. And so they're having a fundraiser for him, and I just want to let everybody know a lot of people support Tucker. He's a volunteer.
Everybody knows Tucker.
Right, and Tucker's a stud.
Yes, he's awesome.
He's going through some tough times, and so they're having a fundraiser at Buck and Beams Campground.
Hold on, I'm sure I just didn't hear it right. I thought you said this Saturday and then February 23rd. Which one did I misunderstand?
I mean, 26th. Sorry.
You may have said that. I just thought I heard 23rd.
I probably did say February 23rd. It's Saturday, February 26th.
Okay.
At 3 o'clock, the Buck and Beams Campground in Cameron, just outside of Cameron, right off Highway 8. They're having a fundraiser meat raffle for them, which are pretty fun to go to. You buy a stick and you win a big package of meat. It's great.
Sweet.
Who doesn't love hot dogs or beef jerky or
meat.
tacos or chickens or whatever? Not tacos probably, but you're making it a taco meat. So, but yeah, we're just out here supporting Tucker.
Oh yeah.
And so everybody, they're going to do some fun things at Buck and Beams on Saturday. Lots of stuff going on this weekend. We have a big race in Chautauqua on the lake.
Just like a bunch of like all you deputies get out and just start racing on the lake in their squad cars. When you say we, who's we?
Well, our snowmobile team will be out there. The DNR will be out there. They get about 4,000 people on the ice. I'm not crazy. But it's a big event by the Chautauqua Chamber, and it supports a lot of businesses down there. So that's this weekend. So lots of stuff going on, and that's about it. Go Warriors! Now it looks like we got to wait till tomorrow night.
Yeah, Mike. He's on top of it, I tell you. All right, cool. Any last words? Anything else? So you have the hockey stuff this week. We'll just say this week. You got the thing on Saturday. When did you say the race was on the lake?
That's Saturday too.
Saturday as well, but not at the same time. I'm hoping.
Well, the race is all day, so.
Oh, okay. So you can do both. You can go one earlier and then go.
I probably will. I'd probably go down on the. They want me to drive the sheriff's sled down the racetrack and see how fast it goes, but I don't think I'm doing that.
No, thank you.
I might, but they're going to boo me because I'm probably going to go about 60.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were born at age of 40 and the most responsible person, so you'll be like doing the speed limit, maybe a little bit less because it's snowing out. So I'm like, yes, but it's a snow. Whatever. That's awesome. Thanks so much, man. We'll check in next week, huh?
Sounds great.
You've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. Like Fitzy and I, Professional Exteriors and Interiors believes that it's the little things that make a big difference. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. For more information, give Brian a call today at 715-520-2271. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for the comments and all the positive words today. We'll see you right back here next week. Until then, remember, it's the little things that make a big difference. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.